All right, let's dive in. AI is set to completely change our world, and education is right at the heart of that transformation. Today, we're going to break down the 10 biggest challenges, the real make-or-break issues that we all need to understand to get this right.
I mean, just think about it for a second. What if every single student had their own personal AI tutor, one that gets them, that adapts to how they learn, their speed, what they're curious about? The potential there is it's absolutely huge.
But here's the reality check. With all that incredible promise, we have to ask the tough question. Are we actually ready for this? Are our schools, our teachers, our policies, are they equipped for the hurdles that AI is throwing our way? That's what we need to figure out.
So here's how we'll break it down. We'll start with the amazing promise of AI. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the ethical hurdles and the tech itself. After that, we'll look at the human side of things for teachers and students. Then we'll zoom out to the big picture of governance, and finally, we'll land on a solid framework for how to move forward.
The only reason we're even having this conversation is because the potential here is off the charts. We're talking personalized learning, making education truly accessible. The upside is incredible. And that's exactly why it's so critical that we get the challenges right.
Okay, so let's start with the tech itself, because before we could even dream about new lesson plans, we have to wrestle with some of the core problems that are literally baked into these AI systems.
First on the list, algorithmic bias. So, if you train an AI on data that's already biased, and let's be honest, a lot of our historical data is, that AI will not only learn, but actually amplify those biases. In a school, that could mean an AI grading tool unfairly marks down students from certain backgrounds, just because their writing style is different.
And this is not some small theoretical issue. As you can see here, when bias gets into educational AI, it's not just about a bad grade. It can actually reinforce the very inequalities we're trying to fix in society. It completely undermines the whole point of education.
Next up, something called the black box problem. The best way to think about this is like having a calculator that gives you the answer but won't show you the math. So if an AI tells you a student gets a C-, but you have no idea why, how on earth is a teacher supposed to explain that? And where's the accountability?
And this brings us to a huge one, data. See, AI runs on data, but in a school, that means collecting a massive amount of really sensitive information on kids. This opens up a whole can of worms, from trying to comply with privacy laws, to protecting against hackers, to the very real risk that students lose control over their own information. And of course, there's cybersecurity. It's not just that we have to protect the AI systems. AI can actually be used as a weapon against schools. We're talking super sophisticated phishing attacks, or even deepfakes that could cause total chaos. Okay, but tech is only half the story, right? We have to look at the human element, how all of this actually lands with the real people in our schools, the teachers, the students, and the culture they share. So, challenge number 5 is the AI skills gap. Look, we can't just drop a new AI tool in a classroom and expect magic to happen. Teachers need real, ongoing training, not just on how to click the buttons, but on how to use these tools ethically and effectively.
And that leads right into the curriculum itself. AI changes the game for what students need to learn. We've got to shift away from just training for today's jobs and start teaching skills that last, like critical thinking, data analysis, and just a real deep literacy in how AI works.
And then, of course, you've got the raw human emotion of it all, resistance. Teachers and staff might worry about their jobs being replaced, or maybe they just flat out don't trust a machine to make judgments about kids. To get past this, you have to build trust. It takes clear communication, good training, and showing that AI is here to help, not to replace. So that brings us to the 30,000-foot view, governance. How do we create the rules and the systems of accountability to manage this incredibly powerful technology safely across entire school districts or even nations?
This is the ultimate problem for anyone trying to make policy right now. How do you possibly create solid rules for technology that is changing, faster than you can write the rules? It's a huge, huge challenge.
And the answer, it turns out, is that you don't start from scratch. Good governance is all about layers. You start with the laws we already have, you figure out where the gaps are, and then you build new, flexible policies to fill in those specific holes.
Which leads us to issue 9, what I call the innovation dilemma. It's like walking a tightrope. If you regulate too much, you could choke off all the amazing innovation that could really help students. But if you regulate too little, you leave everyone exposed to some really serious risks.
And finally, our 10th and possibly the trickiest challenge of all, the accountability gap.
Let's say an AI tool makes a huge mistake in grading a student. Who's on the hook? Is it the software company? The school district that bought the tool? The teacher who used it? Figuring out who is responsible is a massive puzzle we have to solve. Okay, we've just laid out 10 pretty serious challenges. I know it can feel like a lot, but the point here isn't to be scared of AI. The point is to shift our thinking, away from just spotting problems and toward proactively managing risk. And this really is the key. With powerful new tech, trying to avoid all risk is impossible. It's a fool's errand. The real work is in understanding it, anticipating it, and actively managing it. And the great news is we have models for this. A fantastic one comes from NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. They've built a really practical 4-step framework. First, you govern. You build a culture that takes risks seriously. Then you map out all the potential risks and benefits. Then you measure their impact. And finally, you manage them. It's a clear, actionable playbook.
But here's maybe the most important part of all. This is not a one-and-done checklist. As you can see, it's a continuous cycle. Managing risk has to be woven into every part of an AI system's life, from the day it's designed to the day it's retired, always keeping the students right there at the center of it all.
So we end with a question, and this one isn't for me, it's for you. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, an administrator, a policymaker, this future isn't something that's just going to happen to us. It's something we're all building, right now, together. The only question left is, what role are you going to play?